when you know in Titus chapter, I think I've forgotten the verse, but it tells us that we are tempted by our own desires, and then it starts from a desire, it becomes a sin, and from sin because we know the wages of sin is what is death. So it is a whole step by step thing. That's why sometimes you hear women saying that, so if a man is cheating on you, it is not something that he woke up and did. He did what he already planned. The new identity demands that we become responsible, we walk differently. Please talk to us about Monday part. Once deluded by our own desires, we were once dead.
Yeah, as you rightly said, what Becky said last week, maintaining the high road. Even this week, we are seeing Paul still maintaining the high road. High road. In Sunday, you have talked about once dead. We are again now talking about once deluded. You know, it's like they're encouraging us that you are there. You were once there, but now you are here. Once deluded by our own desires. Since the time our parents sinned, human beings are always bent to choose that which is evil. We are bent naturally to do evil. You know, a child is born, no one teaches that child to start stealing things like sugar or something like that. No, we are bent towards that. And we, before we come to Christ, you know, you are led by your own desires, and you, to the point that you think, you know, outside of Christ, you think that that is right. That is the standard. And Paul is trying to tell them, yes, once you know, before Christ came and saved you, before you knew Christ, you were doing this and that. You were, you know, led by your own desires, and in your own perception, you thought that was right. You thought that you are doing the right thing. But Paul is telling them, now that you have known Christ, we should do otherwise. I'd like to read that verse that we are reading, Ephesians 2, reading verse 3. Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. You can see that they were in a situation where they were helpless, that they couldn't help it. Anything that came to their mind, that is what they thought to be right. And perhaps even in this day and age, there are many out there who are, of course, led by their desires. They don't know that they're in the path of destruction. Because there's a word that Paul is now introducing here. The children of wrath. You know, that is disobedience. You know, is telling them that you are children of disobedience. You know, you are disobeying. But now he's telling them, you know, in the condition that they are in right now, it's distressing. But the end of it all is even more distressing. That if they don't live being led by their own desires, he's telling them that God ultimately will destroy sin. That God ultimately will come to address this issue. That if we don't live, you know, following the dictates of our desires, if we don't invite Christ in our lives so that he may rule over our lives, he may enthrone himself in our hearts so that he leads us, he gives us the power to overcome sin. Paul is warning us that ultimately you will be children of wrath, children of disobedience, so that God will at one time destroy sin. But now he's inviting us that we may, through his power, be overcomers in Jesus Christ. And it says here, I like this word that it says, that it does not mean, though, that this old self need no longer dominate the believer, who through the power of Christ can put off your old self and put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. What we need to do is put off the old self, where we were